All right. Can you guys hear me okay? Now you're all sitting 7 rows back from the Hot Wings Challenge, it looks like. No one wants to sit up close because either they don't want to be thrown up on or it's more comfortable back there. Too much heat. A little heat. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome. We're grateful to have you. We've got some great sponsors that put this together, so I'd like to take a minute to recognize them. First off, being my company, Partner Philosophy. So my company's in the business of business development. I like to say I try to put the I in B and B. Business to business is all about individuals, so individual to individual. So this is the kind of stuff I like. You guys talk to one another. Hopefully you like some of the people you talk to, and then hopefully you especially like the wings. That's what it's all about. We try to choose a pretty good spot. A few of you should have gotten $10 off to Wing Shack. Alan, he's usually working the register if you've never been there before. So if you love the wings, give him a compliment. If you didn't love the wings, tell him what you didn't love, and he's pretty awesome to take some feedback. But a couple of highlights I wanted to give you. First off, the venue is brought to us by Ruthie from Auckland Avenue. She's not here, but she's home with 2 sick kids. They do custom development, product development, essentially like any SaaS product you want to develop, they'll do outsourced development teams for you and supplement your team to help you do that. So we're grateful for them. We've got the wings brought to us by Sean, and Sean, if you're here, or raise your hand. Sean with Avalera. So he's working the sales tax. He calculated the sales tax on the wings. He said it was tax-free. I don't know if that's accurate, but if he was using Avalera, it would be. So Sean comes to us from the company that I used to work for, so we're grateful that he supported us with the wings, which is probably the most integral ingredient of a hot wings interview is the wings. So we could probably come up with a venue anywhere, but we need the wings. And then we want to give a shout out to looks like his neighbor right there, Jesse Warner from Achieve CMO. Thanks, Jesse, for supporting us in the veggies and drinks. Jesse and his firm, they specialize in doing fractional CMO work, so Chief Marketing Officer. So if you're looking for everything from just a project specialist on the marketing side, all the way up to ad management, to anything that can supplement your marketing team, he'll specialize and help you with that. And that rounds up the sponsors. Other than I'll give a brief. Actually, you know what? I'm not an intro guy. Are you guys okay if we're less formal and I don't have to tell that Ronnie came from UNLV or whatever? I don't know. Should we just get into it? Is it time? You guys are chomping down. So I think I'll set this aside. The real intro I wanted to really give is to say that, Ronnie and I are selfish in the sense that I run Partner Philosophy, but we also run the Prosperity Society together. We're partners in that. So as much as I love bringing people together for any odd reason, we teamed up on this one in particular because we felt like the Prosperity Society has been open for a year now? We've got this going, and so we wanted to highlight what Ronnie does on the tax saving side, and I do the revenue side. So at the end of the day, the Prosperity Society is an education platform specializing in making you revenue through me, helping you to understand what the business development principles and practices are, and then saving your revenue through tax reduction with Ronnie. So I feel like we hit both ends of it. Today, you don't get to hear anything about sales pitches from me. No revenue side for me. You just have to save on taxes. So hopefully in a future event, we'll see whether Ronnie's tax advice saves you more money or I can make you more money. But today, it's all about Ronnie. So maybe Ronnie, just give us a quick background of how the brainchild of Prosperity was really you. So and I should say that should we eat a wing? I know you guys are eating. So I guess we're gonna start with the pineapple barbecue. You guys can have the I don't know if you guys have eaten already, but
is my mic coming through okay?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So what happened with me is I've been in the CPA practice for 15 years, and over the last 5 years, as I've built out my own practice, I always get people asking me the same thing. They'll always end up saying, my accountant never gives me any proactive ideas. My accountant's too busy to be able to answer my questions. And so I get in this spot where, people are just looking to be educated. They want to understand their taxes. And it's not one of those things that you learn about in high school. You don't learn about bookkeeping or accounting or anything like that. So it's kind of a whole new set of rules. When people start businesses, they kind of need to be led. And so knowing that I'm in a really busy industry where we have deadlines and people are coming in kind of all at once, it kind of makes me like realize that, yeah, there really is a need for somebody who's going to be proactive in answering people's questions, giving proactive tax advice, because maybe your accountant can't talk to every single one of his clients. So that's kind of where we kind of came up with this idea of getting more touch points from the accountant. And even if there was an on-demand video library that we contributed to on a weekly basis, if we did monthly coaching calls where we would let anybody come to these coaching calls and ask us questions, maybe increasing those touch points with the accountant would allow people to be more educated and be in a spot where they can actually save on their taxes.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, what's kind of always been crazy to me in particular is that you had a successful accounting practice, and if anybody here works with accountants, they don't need any more clients, right? I mean, like literally, we need more accountants. We don't necessarily need more. So it's kind of unique. I mean, Ronnie and I have talked about this over the years of how some accountants will even just, if you get a decent accountant and they're too busy, they'll just skyrocket the rate on you, right? And see if you take it. I think Ronnie does a good job of not necessarily doing that with his practice, but I think the Prosperity Society was really an avenue to circumvent that, right? To say, hey, if you still want really good tax advice and tax support, but maybe you want to stick with your accountant, you can still play in the game of using Prosperity Society while also sticking with your accountant. So
yeah, it's definitely meant to be a supplement for people. I think part of the challenge is that you have to get people to kind of join in on the vision that your tax plan is a two-way street and not just something where you're like, hey, I hired you as an accountant, you're supposed to take care of everything. And it's like, well, I talk to you, a couple times a year, and then you're literally running your business on a daily basis. So you kind of have to be the one that's in the know on a lot of things as far as doing it the right way. And so that's kind of the idea, is just making sure that people are kind of getting that vision and saying, hey, you know what? I do care about my tax situation because it's one of my biggest bills. I want to be talking to you. I want to come to your monthly coaching and that sort of stuff. But I will admit that it is hard to get people to like care about it. And so,
well, everybody cares about it after the deadline.
Right.
Right? They are after the new year, and
Yeah.
that's what cracks us up is like, how often do you get on the phone with somebody in March and they're like, well, what do you mean I owe $50,000 in tax?
A lot of people want me to work magic in March and April.
Yeah. Well, let's
Yeah.
get into the. Did you finish your barbecue or your pineapple barbecue?
I
stuff?
did finish the
That was the
pineapple
easiest
barbecue. That was good, but
Well, let's get into the real questions. We got questions from you guys as you registered. I think we got about 10 questions that I think we'll be able to get to. And then we'll have some Q&A towards the end as well. I expect we'll dive in for about 30 minutes. That all is dependent on whether we can get through 12 weeks of increasing heat. So
we'll get through it.
okay, I might not, but I'm glad that Ronnie's going to get to it. So let's throw the first one at you. We had one of the user participant submitted questions was, what are your top three low-hanging fruit tax saving truths? I love whoever used that term, truths. Like that it's, I don't know if that exists in taxes, but maybe it does. For every entrepreneur, like what should they be thinking about? Top three.
Yeah. So right when I start talking to somebody,
you gotta eat the hot one first because
I just ate it.
Oh, you did?
Wait.
Was that barbecue?
I started eating it while you were talking.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that like the spice was starting to come through, but okay.
It's not coming through yet. I'm
Okay.
powerful.
This is garlic, by the way. We got to up our slides here. We're on garlic.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, the
go ahead.
garlic pepper's good, but I'm still good for now.
Okay.
The three things that I'll start talking to people, I mean, there's a lot of things. I think if you asked 100 accountants what's three things, you'd get a lot of different answers. Yeah, you'd get a lot of different answers. But I spent 4 years working for attorneys, and I'll start foundationally with entity formation and structuring. So you'll get people who want to start a business, but then they're like, what kind of business do I start? And you'll have somebody in your family who's going to say, like, you need an LLC. And it's like everybody gets an LLC, and that's somewhat true, but really an LLC can be anything. It could be a solely owned entity, it can be a partnership, it can be an S corporation, or it can be a C corporation. So your entity structuring is going to be massive because depending on what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish in your business, there are reasons that you would use any of those types of things. So, there is some background information, usually within like a pretty short amount of time, we can kind of nail down what's going to be the most tax efficient entity for you to choose.
Is that based off of like what their business vertical is, how much revenue they're going to do? Like,
it'll be like revenue, if you have partners, if you hope to be acquired someday. Those would be some factors that we would look at.
Okay, that's number one.
Number one. Number two would be to not ignore bookkeeping and being organized. What'll happen a lot, and I get it, is you're going to end up being focused on this new business and making money, and all of a sudden 6 months is going to go by and you had been using your personal credit card and your business card and everything becomes kind of a mess, and then it comes time to say, hey, we need to put some numbers into a tax return. And they're like, man, I got stuff on 6 credit cards over here, and everything.
What are the numbers?
Yeah, what are the numbers?
How does it roll up to what category? You bought lunch 5 times on 5 different cards. And that's personal with a business.
Yeah, and that's the spot where like IRS agents are going to be licking their chops because like you're not going to necessarily maybe remember who you went to lunch with for that business meal that you have. Or maybe when you're looking through your credit card statements, you're not going to remember that it was a business lunch. So, I'll be really big on getting organized, setting up a business account, a business credit card, running everything through that so that in the case where maybe you do ignore your books, you at least have it all in one spot and you're not letting anything slip through the cracks. So staying organized is huge. And then number 3 is aligning with somebody who is going to teach you how to do all of the things. So if you end up working with your mother's uncle who does taxes, who like worked with the IRS like 20 years ago or whatever, like they're not up to date on all of the new stuff. And they think that they may know how to prepare taxes, but they're not going to be aggressively sitting there teaching you how to write your vehicle off or how to rent your home to your business or how to pay your children. They're not going to be proactive about teaching you exactly how you need to do that, what boxes you need to check so that if you ever are audited, you're going to be in a good spot. I would say like foundationally when I have initial consultations with people, I want that foundation to be built. And if they are able to do that, the stress of being unorganized is not going to be part of the business owner's life.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I remember, speaking of bookkeeping, a story that you told me once was discovering an OnlyFans charge.
Yeah.
Which, is when, and the reason why it's even more of a chuckle is that they weren't keeping really good track of their books and they had fraud. And so it was just funny because Ronnie tells me one day, he's like, what do I do? I know this guy, and like I don't know. Is it like kosher? Do I say anything?
I'm like friends with him and his wife, and I'm kind of like,
what?
So I just plug it into distributions and didn't expense it as an expense, and so then like it was hilarious because like then the next year when I was doing their taxes, I saw like a reoccurring OnlyFans charge in like January through July or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of like, oh no, like this is like really a problem type of thing. And then it was funny, they all got reversed in August. So like, then we ended up laughing about it because I went and asked him about it.
That's the
And
best part. Ronnie has no. He's just like, hey, by the way, I was just going through your books, saw some OnlyFans charges, they got reversed. Tell me the story.
Yeah, so then he was like, dude, my wife was looking at my books and like helping me put them together. And he was like, for a minute there, like I was like in the doghouse. But then like we called and figured it out. It was all fraud. And I was like, man, if I just maybe would have asked him about it in December, like this, it wouldn't have happened.
Could have kept him out.
Yeah, could have kept him on in the doghouse. Anyways, yeah, there is some funny stuff like that comes about. But yeah, that's the foundation you build on right there.
All right, these aren't too hot yet. Not as
No, we're
not
good.
as OnlyFans. All right, we're up to, let's see. Maybe you touched on this a little bit, but just give us like the 1 minute version of LLC versus S corp. I know a lot of business owners. That's the first question they're going to have is, and that's one of the most common, right? Is you're gonna have the LLC, but what is it going to be taxed as? So just give us the breakdown on how you decide that.
For a lot of small business owners, we'll end up using the S corporation, and so it's an election that you make. So you fill out a 2-page document, let the IRS you want to be taxed as an S corp, and the biggest benefit to that is your ability to control self-employment tax. So when you're self-employed, you have to pay your own Social Security and Medicare taxes, which is a 15.3% tax. When you are a disregarded LLC or a partnership that you're active in, you're going to pay on all the money that you earn. But when you set yourself up as an S corporation, you can pay yourself a reasonable salary that is much less than whatever you've made in total. And so like, I don't know, let's just say for example, if you make 100 grand and you're disregarded or a partnership, you're going to pay 15,300 in self-employment tax. If you make the election to have that taxed as an S corp, you can pay yourself a salary of 50,000 and now you're paying 7,500 bucks in self-employment tax instead of 15,000. So that is like we do that a lot. We'll do that a lot for people, but usually where the benefit comes in is maybe when you're making like more than 40K a year. Like 40K a year net is kind of what you want to be above before you're going to make that jump because, you're going to have to run payroll. You're going to have to like do a separate tax return. So there are some administrative costs that kind of can eat away against the savings. So that's why we kind of always say about 40K is where we want to be on that.
Okay, cool. Well, let's jump into another one. I'm trying to.
Another wing.
That's why I'm like stalling here. I'm like trying to act like I can't read, but really I just wanted to eat like another wing.
Give me a
Are
break.
you? I mean, are you on? What are you even on?
I'm on number 4.
Okay, number 4.
Yeah, we're moving right along.
All right.
Let's go.
You guys, by the way, I don't know, like if you noticed, but there's enough wings for you guys to have multiple wings. So I saw a few of you like kind of conservatively putting like, oh, I'm just gonna be that guy that puts like one wing. This is
Somebody had 4 wings. I'm like, come on.
yeah, seriously. So
Let's
just
go.
please like in and out, like grab your wings. If you didn't, I failed to mention that the white box ones are the hotter ones. So if you tried those ones, you had like the double hot jalapeno. I see some of you are kind of like licking your lips. So maybe you had the double hot jalapeno, which we're almost to. We're at, I think, let's see.
Those ones.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Before we move on from entities, we just talk for a second about like Delaware and Wyoming corporations. Is that something you suggest, or is that like just stay away from that?
No, so every state has different business law. And so from a legal standpoint, there can be some real advantages to being in Delaware and Wyoming because they're super business friendly. And so a lot of C corporations will set up in Delaware or Wyoming. Where we kind of like to see the Wyoming, the reason people love Wyoming is because Wyoming gives business owners something called anonymity, which if you ended up going and searching ABC LLC in Wyoming, it would not tell you who the business owner is. And so what we would do, like when I worked over at Anderson, which was a law firm, is a lot of times we would have a holding company that would own the other businesses. That way, if you looked up 123 LLC in Utah, it would say it's owned by ABC in Wyoming. And then like the attorneys, are there any attorneys out, like litigating type attorneys who are looking to sue somebody? Like they're like have to jump through every hoop to be able to figure out who the owner is in Wyoming, and they're pretty strict about like not really giving that information up. So yes, there's definitely a place for it, for sure. Now, like, if you have, like, rental real estate, I mean, we always would suggest getting LLCs in the state that the real estate is in. And then, but if you wanted to structure it with an extra layer and put a holding company of sorts, then that could be really good. I think as Wyoming has kind of, like, realized that this is, like, a moneymaker, like it almost feels like everybody in the West kind of goes with Wyoming and everybody in the East goes with Delaware. But that would just be some of the pros and cons on some of that kind of stuff.
Any tax benefits? Really?
Not necessarily tax benefits, but Wyoming is better when it comes to like annual fees than Delaware is. Delaware has annual reports you have to file and stuff like that, but as far as tax advantage stuff, not too much.
Yeah, so I mean, thanks for jumping in there. Feel free to jump in. We're pretty informal.
Yeah.
So while Ronnie eats the next one up here, hot Parmesan and more, which I do feel like we gave him an out with the ranch.
Yeah.
You just think so? Like that, maybe when we get hotter, we should.
I actually have 3 cups of ranch.
We should axe the ranch. And we're gonna see Shaq later. Do you guys remember that one where he eats the hot chip? Anyway, he's been on the Hot Ones interview as well. They didn't let him have ranch. I'm warming up. The last time I did burning questions with Ben Riley, if you were here, we basically did the hottest one was hot Parmesan. It was really weak.
I was gonna say Ben got out.
He did. When you're a CEO of a billion-dollar company, I guess I just am a little softer.
Went soft on it.
It's not. But as we jump into the next one, you could eat another hot one if you want while I tell this story.
Yeah.
So the next question is about involving children in your business. So I'm sitting with Ronnie at his office one day, and he gets a phone call from a guy who I had just talked to, helping him do his reasonable compensation report, right? So Ronnie talked about that with S corps. You want to be able to show that, as that tax savings trade-off happens between distributions versus payroll, right? You don't want to just you don't want to run payroll that isn't reasonable, right? So you can't just siphon off all your compensation one way or the other, right? So I had just done it with this guy. He was a real estate guy and he was making pretty good money. So I mean, literally hung up with him, and then he calls Ronnie and he goes, "Ronnie, I got my child involved in my business this year. I want to pay them some money. $12,000 sounds about right. That's the limit, right? You'll tell us. I think it's $12,000, right, that you can pay your children as part of your business." So he said, "I want to pay my child $12,000 this year." Ronnie's like, "Sure, great. Like, what'd they do for you?" He's like, "Oh, well, they were a model." He's like, "Okay, well, cool. Like, tell me more about it. Like, what'd they model for?" He's like, "Oh, we did like a real estate promo video." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Like, what'd they do in the video?" He's like, "Well, and he's like, "No, like, how much of the video was them?" He's like, "Well, there was like a picture of them." It's like, "How old is this kid?" 11 months old. So then Ronnie's like rolls his eyes and he's like, "Okay, dude, like, yes, you can pay your children, but also you just had a reasonable compensation report on how much you can pay yourself reasonably. You also should be reasonable about what you're going to pay your children." But so I use that as a segue. The question wasn't so much of that, but specifically like just what are some ways that you can involve your children in your business that might include some tax savings?
Yeah, well, I mean, the TikTok superstars that like create videos that are like, hey, how to write certain stuff off, it seems like they give you like 10% of like what the truth is. And so, people started hearing all this stuff where they're like, you could pay your kids $12,950 and it's tax free. And that's true because like that's what the standard deduction is for people, is for single people, is $12,950. So like half the country thinks that like, hey, I can pay my kid $12,950 and it's completely tax free. But as like Brian mentioned, it's like, well, there's a lot more steps to all that kind of stuff. And I mean, just from a compliance standpoint, you absolutely can pay your kids, and it's a strategy that we implement with people. And the benefit of that would be, hey, I could pay my kid 12 grand, and then when they file their own tax return, they're not going to have to pay any taxes. So if you're in like a 30 or 40% tax bracket and you take the 12 grand times 40%, it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's actually pretty good. Like I could save several thousands of dollars just off of paying my children.
You're 11.
But the IRS is going to look at that and they're going to be like, you ain't paying your 11-month-old 12 grand for like cleaning the office or something, you know, like it's always some like really petty task where, you know, people want to get away with it. That being said, I've seen a lot of people pay their kids even when I told them not to, and no one ever gets audited for it. Like it never comes back to bite anybody in the butt. Which like payroll is one of those things that doesn't really get audited that much unless you do none of it. So, you know, like if you'll hear accountants who will say, hey, we'll lean towards the aggressive side on payroll stuff because the IRS just doesn't like get into it a ton unless you do none of it. So, you know, that being said, I mean, like I try to guide people into how to do it the right way. You know, I tell people, hey, they have to have an hours log for what they're doing. You should have a reasonable hourly rate for the type of work that they're doing, and just create some kind of spreadsheet that justifies this is why we gave them that money. It works really good if you have like a kid that's in high school where you're already supporting them in different things anyways. It works really good with a kid in college.
Like front desk or like, you know,
marketing.
You're a chiropractor and doing billing, your kid's helping billing.
100%. Like
anybody
that.
own a plunge around here? Is anybody that owns a plunge? If you have a front desk person, Sean, you want to get your kids out there. I know they can't be 14 and go in the plunge.
Get them checking people in.
Just,
But yeah, that's kind of like there is definitely a place for it, paying your kids. I love the strategy. And if you want to get your kids like really well off, take some of the earnings that they ended up getting and then put it into a Roth IRA for them. That's massive tax. That's massive tax and wealth planning right there. If you have the discipline and the extra income to pay the kid, put it in their own account, move the money from their account into a Roth IRA, and then instead of buying your kids candy from the store all the time, you're like, use your own debit card. Like that's massive when it comes to just like setting them up for life.
Okay, what about some other, this is more generic, right? So like some deductions or credits that are common that people should be thinking about. I know we talked about strategies overall, but
Yeah.
what's common deductions that people should be thinking about if they've got a small business?
The big one's going to be like your vehicle. And it's one that a lot
So
of
you
people
just have to wrap it in your logo, right? And then it's like
No.
everything everywhere you go.
Yeah, that's what
a
people
business
think.
expense. Mileage, you drive to California, you just save
People
what
do
is it,
think
65 cents a mile or something.
people do think if you wrap your vehicle, it's like then 100% business use. But no, that doesn't make it 100% business use. It's all about like your purpose while traveling. But you know, like if you're in construction, those are great because you usually need big trucks and all that kind of stuff. And trucks that are over 6,000 pounds qualify for something called bonus depreciation. Bonus depreciation right now, you can take 80% of the cost of the truck and just write it off. So, you know, if you had $100,000 of income in your business, today you could go buy a truck, drive it around for business for the rest of the year, and write off 80 or 100,000 in of your profits and bring your profits down to zero. Even if you finance it, you can still do that. So, what are you doing, dude?
That was a lot. It's supposed to be a drop. Sorry. No, just keep talking. I'm
Yeah.
just getting the next one ready.
Messed
What's
up.
the next one ready? Any other?
So bonus depreciation really good, and that is not just vehicles, but bonus depreciation at 179, those qualify for deduction even with like fixed assets in your business. So if you're buying computers and machines and software and all that kind of stuff, you're going to be able to accelerate depreciation on a lot of that stuff. If you have real estate, you actually can do cost segregation work with your real estate, and I'll explain more about it. but you can qualify some of your property for bonus depreciation as well and get really good write-offs. So depreciation is really good for assets that you're using in business. I would say retirement plans is another really solid place to look. And I think that from an employee retention standpoint, they really like that kind of stuff too, to be able to contribute and get matching contributions. But I will say that like a lot of business owners don't necessarily have the discipline to contribute to it until they know how much it really saves them. So a lot of conversations I'm having right now are going to be, am I going to mess up on the next one?
This is a mystery flavor. I just wanted to eat it while you're talking so I can give a quick view.
So a lot of people will kind of like say like, hey, I don't want to put 20,000 into a 401k plan. But then I'm like, but hey, if it's going to save you 7K in taxes, then do you want to do it? And then they're like, oh, well, yeah, if I save 7K in taxes, then I will commit to that. So there's some stuff like that, but I would say like two big things that we talk about every year are going to be retirement planning and then like how to make sure that you're maximizing your vehicle as a business deduction. All right, so what, I gotta get this?
Oh, we were gonna do no range on that one.
I'm like,
This dude diluting the flavor. Okay, here as he eats into that one, here's the mystery flavor, courtesy of Pyrodos. Anybody know Pyrodos? And what is it, Draper? The most like random little store in the middle of suburbia, Draper, and it has an entire wall of hot sauces. And I'm not underestimating, right? I mean, Scott, you've been there. It's like legit.
Yeah.
So this one is called the Habanero Hot Sauce from Hell, Devil's Revenge. I will say that my wife helped me get these, and when she went to the store, she was trying to help like the Scoville level, right? Like, hey, which one should we get? And the guy's like, well, that one right there says it's the world's hottest hot sauce. And she's like, and so does that one, and so does that one, and so does that one. They basically all say the world's hottest hot sauce. So this one is Beyond Hell, the world's hottest hot sauce. Just to give you a description of it, and anyone wants to come up and try it now that we've dumped it all over 2 weeks, you're welcome to. It's made from vinegar, capsaicin extract. Anybody know what that is? Carrots are apparently thrown in there. Salt,
nobody's
garlic, spices.
out of their seat.
No, I don't see anybody jumping up here. I think I put enough on there to at least give it some. Yeah, I only took one bite, so like Ronnie.
I ate the whole thing since I got a little ranch.
Did you eat the second one though?
No.
Okay, eat the second one while I get this next question ready. So then, I'm not doing that well. That's a little hot. I'm gonna keep going now. I'm gonna do it for you guys. All right. Let's see. We jump over that one. And we've got about 5 more minutes before our Q&A. So if you guys have any Q&A, and I will warn you, we have a special treat. Oh man, it's like as I talk more, it comes back up.
You want milk?
No, milk's gonna. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, milk.
It'll come out both ends if I do milk. That's ugly. We are gonna do a hottest of all hot, which is this last hot sauce up here. That's going to be right before the Q&A. So just prepare. If don't eat all the wings to where you can't just do one more wing, because there is the hottest of all hot challenge. I forgot to print out who actually said yes, so I'm just assuming that you all said maybe. Okay, we're just going to go with that. All
I
right.
just pick 3 random out of the crowd.
Best places to put your money as a tax shelter. We talked about that yet? That was another one.
So tax shelter is kind of a bad word.
I was gonna ask, like, that wasn't what.
Whoever sent that in, I was like, that's
They're baiting you.
Yeah.
They're baiting you into that one.
There's no tax shelters.
Oh, okay.
Those types of words get you in trouble.
So what would you call it if you wanted to tell your accountant and not sound like you're like trying to hide your taxes?
Yeah, like what kind of tax reduction strategies do we have?
Okay.
Something like that.
It's much harder to say though. Tax shelter. We'll go with that one.
Yeah, one lady was telling me not that long ago, I was kind of pushing something out there, and she goes, I want to invest in your tax scheme. And I was like, please stop saying that. I was like, and she kept doing it. She's like a British woman. So she was calling it a scheme, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, if they're watching my emails, I'm in trouble right now.
Throwing the word pyramid.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of the coolest
Tax schemes.
schemes.
This isn't being recorded.
Yeah.
Or it is.
It is being recorded. It's not a scheme. It's real.
It's not live. That's what it was. Okay.
I think I'm starting to kind of feel a little bit too. I'll admit it.
Dude, the wind is so weak.
I was trying to be tough, but I'll admit it. So we've really over the past. I've seen these a lot over the last decade or so. But there's something called a conservation easement, which is an investment that you can make in land, which is then transferred to charitable purposes. So let's say there's like really awesome land that somebody owns and it's near like Vail, Colorado, next to a river or something like that. Like the government doesn't want anybody to like put a housing complex there. They want to keep like the country beautiful and all that kind of stuff. And so there's this, what people kind of started doing is they said, hey, let's get like a group of people together to all invest in it. And then what'll happen is once it gets contributed to charity, you'll end up getting a tax deduction for the charitable contribution. And a lot of times over the years, these things kind of come out to where it's like, if you put $100,000 into this investment, the charitable donation is factored in based on how much that land would have been worth if you did develop it. So usually there's like this 4 to 5 times ratio of what the charitable donation is. Dude, the thing's drenched.
Yeah, you gotta eat that.
And it'll be 4 to 5 times. So you put 100 grand in.
No ranch.
No ranch.
No ranch or ranch. Raise your hand if he gets ranch. Raise your hand if he doesn't get ranch.
Guys,
the audience has decided.
It's dripping.
This is what he's here for. We don't care about his tax schemes. We want to see him burn.
You want me to be on fire? All right, I'll do it. Did you do it?
No.
You didn't do it?
I mean, I
Okay.
a little bit.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'll do it. Hold
Yeah,
on.
you gotta do it too. Let me pour it.
I'm the organizer.
That's what you did to me. All right.
I told my wife I wouldn't cuss while I did this, but
So you put in 100 grand, and now you end up with a $450,000 charitable donation. And so when you go 450,000 times 40% tax rate, you're like, oh wow, like I'm saving 180,000 in taxes just for putting 100 grand in. So you could save an $80,000 spread. Now you want to be high income if this is where you're at. I mean, these work really good for people who make $500,000 to $1 million a year and are in the highest brackets. So it became kind of hot button a few years ago because when Trump's tax returns got released, he had conservation easement on his own tax return. So then in the last like year or two, it's kind of become like this thing where the IRS would love to audit them, and they tried to change the rules so that people couldn't take advantage of them anymore. But there's always some exceptions, and so like we still do them for people. You like how I'm like taking my time?
it's like a 60-second hit. I mean, it's like it's there.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay, that was hot.
I really don't want to do the last one. That's hot.
Very good.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be able to finish my thought.
It's okay. It's on prosperitysociety.com.
But if you are in those highest brackets, most things that I'll tell you about is spend $1 to save 40 cents. This one's like spend $1 and like get money back. So it's a popular one. Like a lot of my high income individuals who are W-2 only, they do really well with the conservation easement thing, and I think it's a great strategy if you can work with somebody who's doing it the right way. And that's what we'll always say, is that a lot of people are scared of the IRS. They're kind of scared of the tax code, but it's like the tax code's there to teach you how to navigate through this stuff. And so something like the conservation easement, I bet 8 out of 10 CPAs are going to be like, we ain't even touching that. We don't do them. But it's like, no, we'll do it. We just want to work with somebody who's really reputable and knows their stuff.
the last question before Q&A. I hope you guys have some good Q&A because it's going to be the best time to answer.
Can't even talk anymore.
It literally, like, when you guys try it for this hot challenge, it works worse as you talk. Like, I think that's the point. This last one, the temporary insanity, Dave's gourmet.
No, I'm not nervous about this. Did you already throw it on there?
No, that you still got to eat your other mystery one.
I already did that.
Yeah, what do to you? This one's hot peppers, tomato paste, cane vinegar, hot pepper extract. It says, of course, it's insane. It's also the hottest in the world, of course. But this is the key element that I noticed on the back. It's also gluten-free.
Oh, that makes it great.
It's gonna be awesome. So is ice. If you didn't know that. Okay. It says use this product 1 drop at a time. So I only
One
put
drop, dude.
I only put 1 drop on this one. Should we? But I feel like we should put at least a couple on Ronnie's, right? Like
No.
for the last question,
Follow instructions.
it says shake well. Oh, it also says not for people with heart or respiratory problems. I just want you guys to be like 100% transparent when you come up for this hottest of
Dude,
all
if I have
hot
an
challenge.
unknown heart problem, throw it on there.
Are you ready?
Yeah, but 1 drop. Follow instructions.
One. I don't know. I feel like one that can't be that hot. One.
There. I got it.
It's a half a drop. No, it's a half.
Okay. All right.
I'll go with you.
Well, hold on a second though. All right. Are we gonna get 3 volunteers for this?
Oh yeah, this was the one we were gonna get 3 volunteers.
Well,
Okay.
I'm just saying, even after I do this, I'm
But I
trying
think
the numbers here.
I don't know, but don't give them a preview. Okay, fine. I wanted to see if we could get some. Oh,
Oh,
gosh,
that's
that
your
was-
eye.
I already did that.
I wanted to see if we could. Where is it? Let me show you. Like while Ronnie's eating that, let's see if the heat comes through. Here, have you guys seen this with Shaq? Have you guys seen this? I want to see.
$20. I will not make a face.
Let's see if this works.
It's not a face.
I don't know if the audio comes through now. Anybody know how to do the audio on no?
Put your mic up too.
Oh, I don't know if it'll do that because it's airplane. I didn't test this before I came. Let's see.
Tell me the last one.
They'll laugh anyway.
Yeah, go ask them. Ask them how we can get the audio to come through.
You know what? I don't know. I'm okay. I'm here.
You're here.
I'm here. 2 drops now.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna lip sync it, or like do the audio for you. Is anybody who's seen it? Who's seen it? Anybody seen it?
Okay, so this is the world's hottest chip.
What's his name? What's his
Kenny
name?
Smith and Charlie Barkley said, "I'll bet you $20."
Should you try turning it up on your iPad?
Yeah.
Oh, I can hear
And my whole mouth is not right.
Okay, here we go.
Incredible. Don't ever do this at home.
So
Bro,
he-
don't ever do this shit. At least all you got was some powder.
yeah, he just put a Doritos on top of the world hottest chip and just got a little bit of the powder, right? And this is him being miserable. So he cheated, right? He legit cheated, and then Shaq.
Oh, this guy's just, let's see it. Whoa. We're gonna see it now. We're gonna see it like Chuck. I bet you $20 I'll buy the chip. Won't even make a face.
No face.
Not making a face. Why you wanna go? I want to get brother. Y'all must not know what fraternity I'm in. Tell them, man.
Wait for it.
There's nothing to me. Ah. Okay, cover. Very confident. Very confident. You made it really hot. I'm not making a face. Oh, it's hot.
Yeah.
Right here is this.
Ah.
Oh, that's classic.
Good stuff.
Oh my gosh, that was so. What I want to do, maybe Shay, if you could get us the hottest wings. Do we have more than 3 volunteers? We're gonna get one more question out of Ronnie, but do we have any volunteers? Nobody's gonna do the hottest of all hot. Christina, Michael,
Christina.
Jeremiah. I will say, here's the prize. The prize is if you don't make a face, and we're gonna have a crowd vote, then you get the free Prosperity Society membership. I know you're just like, I know. It's unreal. Unreal. That's exactly. So just come up. Let's get four of you.
Is it if everyone doesn't make a face?
No, we're gonna say
We're gonna-
like we're gonna vote.
Whoever handles it the best.
Whoever handles it the best. So bring them up here, Shay. Christina, get up here. Michael, get up here. Here's our last question, Ronnie, while they're coming up. What would you do with $100,000 if you got a windfall today? So what are you gonna do with $100K? And it's kind of sad that I'm not giving away $100K. We're just giving away $500 prosperity membership, but $100K, Ronnie.
That's a real debatable question. 100K. One drawing.
No, we're drenching it. That's the excitement. Yeah, we're drenching it.
What, you're drenching it with the hottest one?
Yeah, I'm drenching it with the one drop at a time one. Yes, we're drenching it. Yes. No, we're going for it. Here we go.
Put it in the same as Ronnie.
Three or four.
Okay, I got 4 on there.
That's more than 4. That's way more than 4.
You gotta represent the womankind.
What? I have twice as much.
I'm coming
You
back.
just did
I'm coming back. So I'm coming
have
back.
a little bit on the plate.
Okay, hold on. Did Jeremiah? Okay.
Or it's better if then you just go numb and you can't feel it.
Oh well, I hear. I will say before you guys do this, let me tell you the story of last time I did this. We had one of the Hot Ones sauces, which if you guys have seen the show, that's kind of what this is based off of. And we had a few guys who did it, and they did great. Like no faces, no joke though. I got a text message from all of them at the end of the day, and they were like, "It only grows worse with time." So just so you know,
Terrible news.
it's not the same one. I don't know what the other one was compared to this one. It says one drop at a time, but I'm trusting you guys. All right, go for it.
Big drop.
You have to eat the whole thing, by the way. No, just one bite. Yeah, go for it. Eat your wing.
Oh wow.
And then we're going to take a vote at the end here of who didn't make a face. I want to come down here and see this. It's so contemplative, right? Like
I don't know the guy in the middle thing. Keep trying. Got an early leader here.
Good.
It actually tastes pretty good.
Yeah.
No problems?
Wow.
No,
It was easy?
yeah, you can go hotter.
Are you serious?
You
Dude.
can go hotter.
I mean, it's hot like road.
So this is definitely going to be one of those ones where I get a text message. I'll send you guys my cell phone. You can text me later.
5 memberships, man.
No way,
They're
dude.
not doing business.
Yeah, you just gave away the business.
That's okay. We're trying to take over the world, so that's okay. Nobody. I should have done it. I shouldn't have done people who were confident. I should have just paid people randomly out of the
It
crowd.
grows, dude. Give it some time. It's growing.
We need to, it needs to let it
It
grow.
does grow.
Let it grow. Let's see who
Like my
keeps
whole
it
town.
straight on face.
Yeah, there's a nice crescendo happening.
Way less in a second?
Do you think?
I thought the first.
Do you think the mystery was worse? Should we make him eat another one?
I mean, I'm not really for putting anybody through pain.
Who wants to
It's up
try
to
the
you.
mystery to see
The
if
mystery one, I feel like, was just as
the
bad.
Hell's Revenge?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to try it? Yeah, I mean, this is completely fun.
Maybe have like a winner's bracket.
Okay, cool. All right, winners bracket. We need to challenge you. Who wants to stay in the challenge? Are you in? Okay, let's go.
Alright, here you go. I'm not gonna touch your wings.
Winner's bracket? Did you put it on there?
Oh, I'm going to. Yeah. I thought they were both pretty spicy.
Rolling now.
Okay. All right. Get
Yeah.
it. Get it. Yeah. You were. Let me make sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see that. Okay. All right. Let's see if this one does anything. I like my road. That's good running.
Yeah. I'll give you guys props. This is good stuff.
I don't like the taste of that one as much.
Yeah.
This first one was way better.
You're licking your fingers. That's next level.
He's trying to flex on
He really
everybody.
wants-
I know.
He wants his membership.
But I can see you,
Just pay it.
you're sweating a little bit.
Oh, I sweat. I sweat when I eat like Sour Patch Kids.
Christina, Jeremiah, nothing?
Yeah, freaking monster.
Yeah.
Christina is
Wow. Ronnie, what do we do?
Now you have somebody
That's a badge
sweating.
of honor.
Okay, now you just have to. All right. Well, that was way anticlimactic. Yeah.
I mean, if I
Hey,
could-
well done, guys. You guys all did good.
No losers in this game. No losers in this game.
Thanks for participating.
All right, I cut you off, Ronnie. Finish this off
Dude,
with
the
100.
100K question, I was kind of just trying to think about that. That is hard. I think personality really depends. Personality really, really depends. There are people who are risk adverse people. And I'm a proponent of staying close to what your nature is. All right? Like, I know people who would make $100,000 investment in something and they'd be stressed every single day about it. And for me, that's not worth it. So if you're a risk adverse person, I would save 100K or pay debt off with 100K. Now, I know, but I just wanted it, like, that's the risk adverse personality. Then I know other people, and it also depends what your skill set is too. I know other people who would go buy 5 homes and put down 20K a piece or something like that, and they would have 5 rental properties. And being in debt, like, wouldn't scare them a bit. And so I think you've got to stay close to what your skill set is and your personality set is. And the person that would say, I'm going to go buy 5 rental properties, they would say, dude, you're dumb if you kept it in the bank because you're only going to make 4% on it. Or you're dumb to pay your debt off at 3% because that's like free money. And they're right. But if that other person sucks at managing rentals, doesn't want to, the headache, is busy with other stuff, that's not going to work well for them. So it really does depend on personality. But, I mean, I love ideas like investing in something that you believe in. I love starting your own business. I've never made more money in any investment than I have investing in myself and starting my own business. That's always had the best rate of return. So there's no wrong answer to that. But if you could be debt free, that's amazing. So lots of things you could do with it. That's not really, that's kind of a broad answer, but the question really does kind of yield that.
Was there any questions I missed that you guys threw out there, Q&A, that you want to throw in right now? Any questions I missed?
What do you guys want to know about?
Nothing? Nothing else you guys want to know about?
Covered everything?
So,
Yeah.
You talked about how a lot of these startups still have, stuff on 5 different credit cards and everything. Could you give us kind of a list of systems that you'd put in place? If somebody's starting a new business,
Yep.
January 1st, you're like, look, just buy a QuickBooks subscription. Make
Yeah.
sure you're putting everything in there. What are your top 4 tools?
So definitely create a bank account, get a business credit card. Then it's like with your wallet, I'm like every time, it's like my personal cards are here.
That's huge.
I know I need a thread for Ryan be upset. Somebody told me I had a Costanza wallet the other day.
That's close.
Yeah.
Right there. That's good.
I was like, all right.
Still a couple more businesses, Ronnie.
I have too many businesses, but then on this side, it's a business card. And so every time I swipe a card, I'm like deciding, is this business or is this personal? Can I justify this as business in any way? So, like number one is something like that, is just kind of knowing like, I have a bank account where all my business transactions are going to go. I like that. QuickBooks, like it's kind of hard to learn QuickBooks. And I mean, that's not just something you're going to pick up and like understand in 5 minutes. And so like if you're small and you're brand new and you're just doing little stuff here and there, you're trying to build it up, but it's a side thing, you may choose not to do QuickBooks. You may just use like an Excel workbook or something like that. But what I would say is from a bookkeeping standpoint is always make sure that you are using something that you're comfortable with. Because if you try to get into QuickBooks and you don't invest the time in learning how to use it efficiently, you're just going to mess your books up. And then when it comes to me, I'm going to be like, you never reconciled any of your accounts. You have negative balances on your balance sheet. And then we have to like go in there and like figure it all out anyways. From a technology perspective, I think where a lot of people miss, and this may be more on the revenue side of things, is like creating their email list and their client list. Now, whether you use a CRM to do something like that, or you use, like Google Sheets or something like that, I think a lot of business owners from a revenue perspective kind of miss building their business with their existing clients because they're not keeping track of how they run their business. So you're going to use some of that kind of stuff, the Google Suite, website stuff, maybe plugged in with the Squarespace. But then where a lot of people get messed up and there's a huge deduction comes around the auto deduction. What everybody needs to know is you have to keep a mileage log in order to take a auto deduction. So you may want an app like Mile IQ that tracks all of your trips, and you get to code them as business or personal. And I think if you're kind of doing some of that from an organization standpoint, you'll be in a good spot. If you're rocking and rolling in business and you're doing good, maybe you just hire a bookkeeper and you say, hey, I'm going to have a bookkeeper take care of all this for me. And or maybe you have we'll give the plug for the fractional CFOs that are here. Maybe you use one of those to kind of keep track of everything for you. So yeah, that'd be a couple spots where I think from an organizational standpoint, you could really kind of hit the ground running business-wise.
Any other questions? I have one final question for Ronnie, and I pulled this up. I don't know if it'll work, but I wanted you to maybe just summarize. I know it's chicken scratch, but just bring it all together for us. Like some of the ideas you talked about, some of the kind of the quick version. So if someone were to take a snapshot of it, they could go run to their accountant or run to Prosperity Society and say,
okay, all right. So just to give you I think what I want to do is build the value of what implementation of a lot of these ideas can do for you. And I know that there's a lot of tax preparers out there that are like, I just prep tax returns. And I'll always say there's preparers and there's planners. Okay? So if you started a business and let's just say you were a sole proprietor or you had your own LLC and it's disregarded, but it blew up. Okay? I ended up starting this business, it started crushing it, and I made $100K. On that $100K, you're going to pay $15K in self-employment tax, plus probably $20K in regular taxes. Okay? So you're $35K in taxes. If you ended up saying, hey, I want the S Corp, now that 15K is 7.5K. You still got the 20K. Okay? But now you're at 27.5. If you ended up saying, I want a retirement plan, and I'm going to put 20K into it. Now this 20K right here is only, 15K. Okay? So you save another 5K. If you said, I'm going to pay my kids, 12K. That's going to save you another 3,000. If you said, hey, I want you to teach me how to rent out my home to my business.
Augusta,
I didn't tell you guys about this today. That's going to save you another $3K. If we ended up saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to go finance a new vehicle, and I want to make sure that I qualify for bonus depreciation. Or I need new equipment for my business. Okay? And you spend 20K or 30K doing that, that's going to save you another 10K. Okay? There's a scenario here where we could say, if somebody isn't hand-holding you on some of this stuff, you're sitting at 35K, and we've now brought it down to 27, 22, 19, 16, 6,000. Okay? By having an adequate tax plan, 35K down to 6K. Now, you might not be able to do all of this stuff. Okay? It might not make sense for you to get a new vehicle this year. Maybe you do it next year. But if we're having that conversation on a regular basis, you're going to be in charge of your tax plan. You're going to know exactly what you're doing, and you're going to have a pulse on that. Now, from my perspective, every single year on my 700 name mailing list, I will send it out and I'll say, hey, I'm available for the next 2 months to do tax planning. We could figure this out in a half an hour phone call, an hour phone call, run through it, project out what your taxes are going to be, and then go through some of these different ideas that maybe we would want to implement. All right? It's an hour at a time, and really it's not rocket science as far as like all that goes. It's just different. But if we could take our biggest expense and work on bringing that down, then that's huge savings. Now, that's why we created this platform though, because like we want people to have on-demand information. Like we can have a class like this and this is awesome, but like not everyone's out doing this. And so we want a place where people can say, hey, I want to go and I want to like be able to jump on a call with you once a month and save up my questions and have a home base where I can do that. And I want to be able to just go into your video library and like go down a rabbit hole one day and like figure out if there's anything that I can implement. And so that's what we're making available to it. We still need to have the relationship too. Like I don't want this to be like something like in lieu of calling or anything like that. You have to just go like self-learn it. This is like in addition to it. But one thing that I have found is that the more you know, then the more we can build on this stuff. You know, like, you can't have somebody who knows nothing about business and then just be like, let's do these 5 things. They're going to be like, wait, I don't know what an S-Corp is. Like, I don't even know how to run payroll for my kids. What do I have to do to make the Augusta rule work? It's going to, like, blow their minds. But as you're more educated on this kind of stuff, you're like, yeah, you know what? Last year I did the retirement plan. Now I have payroll set up, so I'm paying my kids now. And you can kind of build upon that stuff line upon line. So, anyhow, this is what makes tax fun. I know, like, tax isn't the sexiest business in the world.
I can tell people are ants.
Okay? But, like, when you could sit down and be like, hey, I'm going to save you 20K, like, that's real. That's real numbers, and that people are putting their kids in paying for their kids' college with that kind of stuff. So, so that's what makes the job exciting. And you know, there's definitely a time where it's not so exciting, but this is what does it. And so we've been pushing people to our platform. We want to invite people to become part of it. We're going to do a half off for anybody who's here if you want to join the platform, and we'll just have a little more information on that. But any last questions for anybody?
And it's tax deductible.
Oh yeah, it is tax deductible business expense.
Sweet. All right, well, let's close it out. Thanks, guys, for joining us today. This will take you straight to prosperitysociety.com if you want to check it out. Partner philosophy, because that's my business, gets you the 50%. I did miss one other prize. Justin, do you want to come give us your prize? So Justin's a small business owner. He's on the Prosperity Society. You want me to throw it out?
Yeah.
Or do
How are you doing this?
So
I don't know.
I'm gonna let Brian decide who to throw this out to, but my wife and I have a small business. We make a lot of products. We have room sprays. We have some very cool handmade, cold processed soaps. You guys are familiar with Dr. Squatch. This is way better than Squatch.
Yeah,
Okay?
it is.
I might have a bias. I don't know.
I do use this one, by the way. They have the little hand bag. I don't know what you call
Oh
it.
yeah.
Soap bag, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
That you like put this in so then it like doesn't disintegrate and stick to the side of your shower, right? And then it like kind of seeps through the washcloth. Anyway,
A loofah for a.
I know you guys are getting visuals of me washing my body with soap, but it really is good.
I also have a solid lotion bar in there. If you want to make your wives very happy, this is solid lotion, but the other thing it's really good at is a massage bar. Okay, so massage it on your feet. It's infused with magnesium. It's also way good for sore muscles, sore feet, all that kind of stuff. And then I also have a car freshener in here as well.
Dang.
So that's really cool. There's a little instruction booklet in there. I won't explain everything to you, but so there you go. Little prize back. I'll let Ryan.
Well, since Justin's a Prosperity Society member, I'm just going to I'm going to leave it up here. The first person to become a member. That's your bonus prize.
Oh, wow.
There you go. So if you show me that you become a member today, you're walking away with one of our members' prizes. So we'll close it out with that.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here.
John, guys.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Back around, shut us.